And we're live. So far, we've got the One-Eyed Cat, Mrs. One-Eyed Cat, and Lars. Junkyard D, Danny Boyd, calling Tebow says she'll be here shortly, but not before leaving her 7th of the American flag pattern. Thumper is here, wrong English. Turbo Tom, he's from Cedar Point, just eating supper. Vintage Adventurer Drives, Bigfoots and Mopars, says howdy. The Manic Mechanic and Big Mike of the Hoopty Barn, hello all. Glad you all could make it. Glad everybody is here. Got some interesting things planned for this month. Been working out with some fellow YouTubers. I'll be reaching out to some of you guys offline because of what we're planning to do here in a couple of weeks. Uncle Doob's World, Bruce Colgin, Big James, Pure Pontiac Garage. Big James, how's the call-out thing coming? I know you said you wanted to get 30 call-outs in 30 days. How's that going? Barry Cuda. Colleen is here. Danny Boyd says we've got steelhead trout on the grill and it's delicious. We'll be grilling tomorrow. The One-Eyed Cat says he'll come back in 10 minutes. He's working on more shorts. Yep. I've got tomorrow's short. I had tomorrow's short scheduled yesterday to come out tomorrow morning. JB says deplorables unite. Indecisive Tim. Hello, sir. Mean Street Mopar. Thrashing to get together that 318. Vintage Adventure Drive says, I told earlier that if I don't get a 4-speed in my Scamp before No Name Nationals, I shouldn't even bring it. They want to see me banging gears again. Bring whatever makes you happy. Just be there. Lars says, tomorrow's shorts are today's pants. SSR, Big James says, I think we've got 8. If there's any more, post them up. Going to make a video here soon. Right on. Sounds like we're right on target because what is this? Is this day number 8, I believe, of the 30 shorts in 30 days? I believe it is 8 because it started last Friday. So this should be day number 8. So if you got call-outs for Big James, now's the time. He can keep pace. Twisted Dennis, hello. Levi's here. Barry Cuda, I didn't get to hear what the song is you hate. Has that information been released yet? No one has guessed it. Whenever I see it float through the chat, that person's going to win something. There will be no more clues. There won't be anything. I'm not going to fish for it, but whenever I see it float through the chat, that person's going to win something. Bigfoots and Mopars. I've gained 63 subs since posting shorts in my Mopars on the park video. See, there you go. There you go. Danny Boyd says, none of my junkers can keep up with Big James. Well, let me tell you, Big James brings some heat. So, yeah, for real. I mean, look how that works. You know, it's not a coincidence. Hey, Lars, if you don't mind, post in the chat how that's been working out for the people who've been doing the shorts challenge in the No Name 500. JB says, I'm out of car shorts, so it's time to do some stupid stuff just for laughs. Cool. Sounds good to me. I've had a mixture of car stuff and just general nonsense and Thumper says the only time I run out of car content is winter. Well, I mean, that's most of the year for you. Mrs. Levi's reading her book. Good deal. Turbo Tom says, worst song ever, Ring My Bell. No, it's not the worst song ever to me. There's a whole lot of honorable mentions, but it's not it. Levi's looking for a call-out worthy steal, SSR says. Colleen says, I predict Shelby will have her 500 before the 30. The 30 shorts 30 days challenge is going on now. I think you mean before the end of it. Yeah, and I expect so with the rate she's growing. How many does Shelby have? It's 400 and something. She's not all that far away. Just lapped that field, blew the doors off of them. Amy Stewart's song. I'm not going to do that specific. I'm not going to let you all give your own hints and make questions. That takes the sport out of it. JB says, I can beat Levi. I just need to be at the finish before they let him go. Yeah, that's called a bracket race. Chris 103 Custom says, hi, everyone. Levi's car is currently broken. SSR Big James, what did I miss? Why is everyone posting songs? Because I told them, Big James, if anybody can guess my least favorite song, if I see it float through the chat, they're going to win something. And we did that probably a couple of weeks ago, and nobody ever guessed it, so I'm not giving any more clues or anything like that. But, yeah, Colleen, I'm telling you, it's been soaring. I'll look at it more than once a day. Vintage Adventure Drive says he's gained 38 subs and started posting shorts. Yeah. Cousin Cletus, hello, sir. Dean Stevenson reporting from the other side of the globe. Yeah, I should. She should get 500 before Monday. Well, what is she right now? 430 something? Did Colleen say 437? Yeah, a little far off to try to do a 500 live tonight. That would kind of, but that's okay. She's on pace. Yeah, I totally agree. I was looking for someone to lap the field because this field was so ripe for that this year. JB wants to get Trash Truck in the nines. I think it's great. My kids hate when my wife sings Happy. Yeah, that song, it sucks pretty bad. Left Turn Dodge has gained about 20 subs. Shelby blew through that. Well, you graduated before she signed up. She's got 8,300 views on a long format video. So that was it. That one really did well. Got a lot of shares and a lot in the algorithm. So good for her. Main Street Mopar, talking about parts. Let's see. Ended up having to order the compression fittings and 5/16 hardline online. What are we doing compression fittings for? I was surprised that none of the parts stores kept any of that in stock. They do. What parts stores don't keep that? I mean, I'll tell you where I got some of that was at Advance Auto. They had sticks. They had sticks of it. Of the nickel copper, and I was able to get compression fittings. I think I had to get the compression fittings from hardware store, but I got the 5/16 hardline from Advance. It's not as easy as it used to be. We actually used to have this little full service parts store, private independent parts store back in the day that would, not only did they keep that stuff, you could walk in there and measure it and they would bend the hard line for you. They would cut the ends, flare the ends, put whatever fittings on you want with a double flare right there at the counter. That was Balls Automotive in Bluefield, Virginia. We had them, we had Southern Automotive, Counts Automotive, and a Nationwide, which was franchise. And that was it for the longest time. And then Advance Auto came to town in the early 90s, and that opened the door for that. And all the privates went out. And then you had Advance AutoZone and O'Reilly. That's what we still have today. Weaving Aphid says hello. It's a wild looking logo you got there. Big Mike's is still waiting for someone to tag me in a Frankenstein build video. Just wondering if I'll have anything to judge at the No Name Nationals. Well, I don't know. Maybe so. Put out a video on it, man. Left Turn Dodge has gained 49 subs. And probably 25 or 30 in the time she got 450-ish. Yeah, it can go that way. Weaving Aphid. I got the S10 running, just getting it prepped now. Might have it lowered in time. Okay. Yeah, the local O'Reilly should have it. You would think. JB says we have 5/16 compression fittings. I'm assuming he means at Ace Hardware. Chris 103 says I made a hard line out of copper. It's sat. Now it turns to fuel green. Oh my gosh. Cotton Eye Joe. No, don't like that song, but that's not it. Yeah. Yeah. So we figured that one out. Yep. Engine Light Garage. Hello, sir. Engine Light Garage. Is that registration I got today for Mommy Z Garage? Is she getting in the No Name 500? That was the channel link I got. Just want to make sure we know what we're doing. If you confirm that, I'll go ahead and get that up. I didn't hear back from you today, so I have not yet added her to the page. I want to make sure which channel you're registering, yours or hers. Main Street Mopar, the compression fittings and hardliner for the oil crossover tubes in my 318. Yeah, you know what? I'll be honest. I would do those at a flare. But you can do however you want to do it. What I like about the flare is that you're not making an orifice in it by compressing it enough to hold oil pressure. Bigfoots and Mopar says, I can't stand Inner Sandman by Metallica. Well, okay, to each his own. But you got to realize I was a student at Virginia Tech on my second tour over there when that became their entrance song. And I remember we were in the stands and they had just gotten the Jumbotron, and they were early to the Jumbotron thing. They weren't everywhere like they are now. And we didn't know what that was up with that. But it took them more than 20 years to get Metallica to come there and actually play. I don't know why it took so long. I thought a Lane Stadium concert would have been an instant sellout and a huge hit, and it would have, but it still was, but they were just more than 20 years too late to get there to that. But as a Virginia Tech alum, I would certainly not make that my least favorite. But it is, they play it to death. Barry Kuz says, Barbara Ann, I'm a fan of the Beach Boys, but I can't stand that one. I get it. I used on a short here recently a tour of Muscle Car Museum, Emma by Hot Chocolate. And, I like the instrumental of it, but I got to tell you, it's pretty depressing stuff, the actual lyrics to it. So Main Street Mopar says O'Reilly's didn't have an employee that knew what in the world you needed, because I've found that to be the case. I have gone into parts stores, chain stores, and asked if they had it, and they say, "Oh, we don't have that." They don't have any idea, but it's just because it's easier just to tell you no, because they get paid the same amount whether they actually help you or not. And it turns out they have everything you need. They just something they don't know how to do. Because when you walk up, they're going to say year, make, and model, and if you don't give them that, then they don't know what to do with it. I ran into that doing the Quadrajet swap with Dallas. I mean, we walked up to the counter and that kid's, year, make, and model. I'm like, look, man, we're not going to be able to use that here, okay? It's not going to work. Yes, that's her registration. Okay, so you will know. Mommy Z Garage, or Mommy's Garage, is in the No Name 500. She's our newest registration. So if one of our esteemed mods would please put up the link to her channel, I'm going to add her to the main page. She is the better half of Chris at Engine Light Garage, but I was just making sure which one of you was in, because she would be running currently last in the No Name 500, but just signed up today. Now, Amy Pulliam says Baby Shark is the worst song ever. It could be. It could be. It's just not the worst one I've ever heard. Yes, Mopar K's got a call out with JB. So, Big James, if you want that one, I saw a short on that. Michael Schmidt. Hello, everybody. Watching while rebuilding an Autolite points distributor for a Flathead 6 Mopar. I need to get the distributor curved for the van. I got an old one with a really wide curve, but it's in great shape. And man, other than that, that van's running really good. It had a coil that was getting weak on. It was very hard to find because it just had this tipping point of temperature where it would start degrading. But with the new coil, it's just running so good, and the mixture's good. It's running really nice. Good response, good power, better mileage, everything. Danny Boyd saw Metallica around 97 or 98. Cool. Bar's Ness is here. Dean Stevenson says, tried Peggy Sue. No, you know, don't let me think against Buddy Holly. All right. Mommy's Garage. Hello, all. The newest registered into the No Name 500. So I'll tell you what, it'd be big for your channel. Go ahead and jump on the shorts challenge. You don't have one every day, so you can't be eligible to win in that. But you can still join along and have fun with the rest of us. We're 8 shorts deep, 8 days deep into the challenge. I've been doing it with them. Lars has been doing it. It's a lot of fun. Just one short, at least one short every day through the 4th of, through and including the 4th of July. Rabbit Transit J, I always just ask to walk out back and look for myself at parts stores. Yeah, I mean, that would help. I had to do that when I was with Dallas. The poor employee, he just, I mean, it's not his fault. He just, a lot of them are young people who aren't car people, and they've never built that kind of stuff. And, you know, I needed some 1/2-inch heater hose, but there's a lot of different kind of bulk hose back there. And some of it's rated for fuel, and some of it's not, and some of it's reinforced. And I went back there and I found what I needed. But, you know, at one time, that would be a really universal thing that any parts store employee would know, right? I needed a freeze plug to do a little block off on the van. I can't remember what it was now. Oh, I know what it was. It was the exhaust holes on the back of the head, and I needed a freeze plug, and I had it measured. I knew what I needed, and you could tell them year, make, and model, and I'm like, no, there's not going to be a listing for that. They can't. And the thing is, they could get the freeze plug $1.99, but I was going to walk out of there with no sale if I hadn't intervened, and I had to go Googling on my phone. I found the doorman number, and I gave it to them, and they ordered it. But it's just, this is the state of parts stores now. You have to do the work because they're not going to be able to help you with anything unless you're making model and spits out some results. And it used to be parts store guys were much better than this. Chris 103 Customs, he's asking me, would your friend in the tool shop be interested on 4-box truck filled with concrete masonry filling tools and buck? I'm not going to speak for him, but probably no. I'm going to actually, I'm going to save that one. Let me save where that was, because that's pretty funny. Probably not, but I will certainly send him that and ask him. Colleen says, try telling the new guy they have an attachment to do OBD1 scans. Yeah, well, I don't get into that anyway. I don't have anything to scan. Nothing. I don't care. Vintage Adventure Drive says, I was the guy at O'Reilly who everyone went to for oddball stuff. It was awesome. I love being the young guy who knew more about old cars than anyone else. We used to have a young guy who was really good and sharp at O'Reilly here, and he now works for a local bank. And, you know, good for him. I mean, it's a better job, but it's a bummer because he was one that you could do more with at our local store here. What's the channel you need posted? Mommy's Garage. And she is in the chat, Colleen. She was up here. She said hi, if I can see it. But Mommy's Garage, she's in the chat. You can post that. That would be great. Thank you, Lars. Vintage Adventure Drive looked up his own parts when he was 16. Well, I couldn't look up my own parts when I was 16 because they had the book and there was no computer back then. You don't know what you were missing, Tanner. You would have loved being, our age. Michael Schmidt, there's no benefit to not running ridiculousness up the power chain nicely. Make it known these guys need to know the basics or it's the manager's fault. The O'Reilly in my hometown, the manager is being held on a murder charge. So, I mean, what are we going to do there? We're trying to just get heater hose and get out. We're not trying to fix their problems, right? They did since hire a new manager, and it had nothing to do with O'Reilly's. But yeah, the state of parts employees is not a good one right now. Now, like my friend Billy, and Billy watches this sometimes. So if you're watching, hey, Bill. But now he's been a career parts guy for 31 years now, I think. There aren't many guys like him. They're just not. So Thumper says, I got a new kid at O'Reilly by having him clear the codes on my 70 CUDA. How's that getting him? Because a whole lot of people with 70 CUDAs retrofit all this modern wiring and fuel injection in them. So if somebody told me to clear the codes on, well, you never know. Maybe it does. I mean, I put OBD2 on a 91 Camaro once. Valiant Adventure 1973, the new front runner in the No Name 500. How many subs do you have to go, Shelby? 62, 63, something like that? Left Turn Dodge is lucky to have friends in most of the local parts stores who either know or just let me look. Yeah, that's really helpful. Levi says good employees don't last at low-end jobs. Their work ethic is typically wasted on that work, mostly due to pay. There's a lot of turnover. Sometimes you got some all-stars, but I mean that's more the exception than the rule. That huge rack of books and microfiche would have made Tanner's day. Let me tell you, Tanner, you missed it. There would be 6 or 8 feet, literally, of stacked catalogs across that counter, no computers, and that's how they looked stuff up. Bar's Nest says he has 2 good parts guys, one in Advance and another parts guy at Jegs. Yeah, there's good parts guys out there. There are many more who are not, but there are some good ones out there. Danny Boyd, I feel like a real celebrity when they invite me behind the counter to find what I'm looking for. Let's see. Tanner wants Valiant Adventures 1973's phone number. Well, if it's okay with her, I'll give it to you. Thumper says the O'Reilly's in town's pretty good. I know what year, make, model will give the right parts. Sometimes you can do that as a workaround. Sometimes you can't. Chris 103 Customs, who I believe is in New York, said, I have a seller here that decades ago shared a shop space with UTG. I just bought a 454 from, he still has 2 440s, a 455, and a straight 8 Buick with transmission complete, 1934, stored indoors for sale complete. Cool. So murder charges and points and rotors. Yeah, it made national headlines in a few places. People Magazine ran a story on it. It was at the Bluefield, West Virginia O'Reilly's. I'll make it very clear. O'Reilly's didn't have anything to do with it. We kind of knew about this guy. There's a lot of things about him that weren't great. Of course, not that, but it raised a pretty good sting. Hot story in town there for a little while. But he's being held at Southern Regional Jail in Beckley. And no, he's not still the manager. They hired a new manager. $438 for Valiant Adventure 1973. If you've not yet checked out her channel, please do. She only needs 62 more subs to be the next to graduate from the No Name 500. Barry Cuda says, Adam Carolla thinks highly of O'Reilly Auto Parts. Well, good. I mean, I like O'Reilly. I will tell you, of the big three here, that's the one I go to, is O'Reilly. I mean, okay. Well, thank you. I hope I don't forget. Marsden's never had as much luck with Napa. I really like Napa. Usually, just on average, they usually have a little better trained counter people at Napa. But Napa also is, I don't know, they're a little more old school, a little more commercial type oriented, which is fine. I don't do much with our Napa here. Not that they're not good. They have a lot of stuff the other ones don't. I'll give them that. I believe we have 5 parts stores here. Used to have 6. One closed. It was a all-pro. Vintage Venture Drives only uses O'Reilly's and worked there for years. Cool. It's a good reason to. Napa's the only place close to get GL4 gear oil. You know, that's pretty sad. That used to be a real staple in every parts store. Racer Ace says, I might work behind a parts counter when I retire. You would be one of the best parts people ever. Dizzy says, hey, John, everyone. Hello, Dizzy. How goes it? Yeah, it's amazing the things you can't find in a parts store anymore and how much stuff has to be, you know, next day and all that. I mean, I can't even get spark plugs for a 318 here locally. They have to be next day. I did get a set at the Murfreesboro O'Reilly, and yeah, I had to pay way too much for them, like everything you get retail. It's such a ripoff anymore. I'm liking Rock Auto a lot these days, and they have closeouts with some really good deals. I like Rock Auto. Valiant Adventure 1973 is going to a car show tomorrow. I bet you'll get the rest of your subs from that car show. Yes, Bruce. I was out of town. I did fulfillment late. Yes, sir. Levi said a lot of parts places get bad raps because they don't stock a part from the 70s. It used to be common. Yeah, it's true. Well, but yeah, I can understand there aren't, but man, spark plugs for a 318? Really? You actually tonight are on my Brio up here. I've just got everything on 720 resolution. I'm liking Rock Auto. What are your East Coast big three? Around here, it's O'Reilly, AutoZone, and Advance. Advance actually was founded in Roanoke, which is about 30 miles from here, by Nick Taubman, and it just exploded. AutoZone used to be the biggest, but now it's the big three are AutoZone, Advance, and O'Reilly. Vintage Adventure Drives. I once had to explain to an old guy that a mechanical fuel pump can't put out enough fuel pressure to overcome a properly working needle in the seat on his 305 V6 GMC. I've heard so much crazy stuff at parts counters, and it went to the internet, but it still comes in there all the time, I'm sure. It's all computer controlled inventory based off frequency purchases. I could see that. Tanner's ordered so much they keep some stuff in stock for him. Bruce is asking if he had bumper to bumper. We had one. It went out. It was a little small one in a strip mall. Barry Cudis says, I'm pretty sure I could go into town here in New Zealand and get NGK spark plugs for $3.18. Yeah, well, you would think, but I'm sure points would be very hard to get and all that. But even plugs now, even plugs for them. Well, Racer, you've got a very distinctive voice. It makes sense that the parts store would know your voice and what the car is. Wow, Left Turn Dodge says his bumper-to-bumper parts store has been managed by the same guy since the 1980s. Cool. Why change if it works? Well, I'll tell you why. There once was a family that was eating a Christmas dinner, and they had a roast in the pan, and the end was cut off the roast. And this little girl asked her mom, hey, why do you cut the end off the roast? Mom says, that's just how we make it. But then she asks her mom, hey, mom, why do we cut the end off the roast? And mom said, well, that's just how it's done. And then she asked the great grandma and says, why do we cut the end off the roast? And she said, well, I used to have a smaller pan. See, so there's a lot of things that work, but that doesn't mean we can't change them and do something better. The problem is a lot of people don't make changes for the better. They don't make them judiciously and thoughtfully like that. Manic Mechanic 26 says, I really used to like Murray's before O'Reilly's bought them out. We've never had one here. I'm not familiar with them. I'll tell you the parts store I loved was CarQuest. They had all the kind of stuff I liked, all the, like fitting stuff and the tools. I really liked CarQuest. Then Advance bought them, and that was just the end of them. It was all just gone. They turned them all into that same corporate Advance formula of next day everything, that kind of stuff. It was just the end of CarQuest. Mohawk is here. Howdy. Local Napa told me to go in the back and get the hose I needed. I had to do that at all last time I was there. Girl kind of counter, clueless, absolutely no idea. I don't know how long she had worked, but she's very nice, but had no idea. I was just trying to get some fuel hose. Barry Cuda says, I've heard Eklund points are the best quality. I think they're made in Poland or somewhere. I've heard they're good. I have. I've had a very bad experience with Wells points, and I've had very good experience with standard blue streaks. The last points distributor that I ran standard blue streaks in. But I will admit, I haven't run points in a while. I do like a simple electronic. Western Auto I miss. Yes, me too. I liked Western Auto. Bad Tree Blake says, Heathen something. Howdy, Blake. Thank you for coming by, buddy. How are you doing? Lumpy missed the locally owned parts stores like Victory Auto was the hometown favorite in Columbus, Georgia. Yeah. Like I said, we had 4 independents that were great. Wow, Vintage Adventure Drives had a spring break on a set of points from Import Direct on my Pinto. Jeez. Wrong English says the guy at Advance did okay. We went looking for gasket material. This is true. Yeah, and a lot of them do fine. Yes. Bad Tree Blake is quite busy these days. I hope it's fruitful. Michael Schmidt said, CarQuest, I could go there and buy carbon wheel master cylinder rebuild kits. Yes. Hard to find kits. I wouldn't even go to a parts store looking for that these days. I would just order it. But I've always had really good luck rebuilding my own wheel cylinders. I mean, I've had them just turn out great. Danny Boyd, import direct equals crap. I would agree with that. Thumper says, in the early 90s, I had a Super Shops 5 miles from base in Charleston, South Carolina. Yeah, we've never had one around here. I've been familiar with them, of course. They sponsored that Pro Stock car. Was that a Rare Morrison entry? Who had the Super Shops car back in the early 90s? Vintage Adventure Drives rebuilt the wheel cylinder once. Yeah, I've done it a few times, but I've had really good luck rebuilding them. I mean, those things, they're not like when you hone a cylinder in your engine. You don't have to worry about the rings wearing a groove and a taper and all that. I mean, pretty much you hit those things with a hone and change your guts out and they're good to go. If I took one apart, had a bunch of water and a bunch of deep pits in it, I would just stop right there and get another one. But one that's been sealed up good and doesn't have that, I've never really had a problem. Dizzy says he's got to put a brake master cylinder on the Fury. Yep. Rapid Transit J said we had a Super Shops as well, perfectly placed right in the cruise spot. Cool. They should. I would hope they played that up. I mean, that would have been a great place to have your flash mob car show on a cruise night. I'd be tempted to break out the grill for them and everything, depending on what their parking situation is. Danny Boyd, last wheel cylinder he did was 15 years ago and did it on the car. Yeah, I've done it on the car. I've had pretty good results with that. Now, I mean, I've really never had a problem doing one, just leaving it on the car. But some of them you can't get to them to do it, but some you can. Left turn dodge was never near a Super Shop. Yeah, I've never been in one. We never had one. Thumper rebuilt his calipers, $8 for seals. Yeah, you can do that. Backwoods Performance says there's a famous photo of a Super Shops with a plum crazy 7172 Roadrunner goes around the internet that was 40 minutes from my house. Cool. Kerosene Cucumber. Do you remember when AutoZone was called Auto Shack? No, I do not. AutoZone came to my hometown in 1994. My buddy Billy and I both applied to work there, and they hired him, but they couldn't hire me because at the time they had a brake lathe for turning rotors, and you had to be 18 years old to run the brake lathe, and I wasn't. I turned 17 in 94. I was at least a year too young and change, but he's 2.5 years older than me. Bad Tree Blake, I took a title to the DMV for a 72 Plymouth today. I was expecting to be turned away when I presented a ripped to pieces, gone through the washer title, could just make out the VIN. That's, I probably wouldn't be the first person to do that. They said, screw it, and gave me a new one. Well, good. I'm not going to ask a 72 Plymouth what. or which or any of that. T's Good Time Garage worked at the Salt Lake Super Shops back in the day. We had 3 between Ogden and Provo. Even everyone, yep. And T's got out a video on his Duster, trying to get that sorted out. They changed around 87 or 88. Yeah, I believe it came to our town in 94, maybe 93, right in there. I have my light here kind of sitting goofy. See how it shines on the BTP decal in the studio? I moved it so it wouldn't do that, but now it's not sitting stable. There we go. That's better. I don't know. It's not happy with how I got it positioned. Rabbit Transit J says it was on Highway 100th or 8th Street in Franklin. Then the gangs came in and wrecked it for everyone. Yeah, well, that's, that's what happens to a lot of places, unfortunately. BTP said, no bill of sale, nothing. Usually the DMV ladies scare me to death, maybe because it's Friday. Well, you had the title. If you had a bill of sale without a title, it probably would have been a different story. But you had the title without a bill of sale. I've actually never had a problem with that, with the title. Barry Kuda says, be good if you still had Honest Charlies near you. Well, we've never had one of those. Hot Rod Guy Garage Russell, working on a new to me tow pig, so can't stay long. Well, you're always busy. That's why you get so much done. Thumper says, I get new titles for cars all the time. Michigan makes it super easy. Yeah, some states are hard. Tennessee used to be a state that was really easy for getting a title. I don't think it's like that anymore, but it used to be. Left turn dodge. I missed the PAW catalog. You know what? You said that. I had a PAW catalog right there, and I don't anymore. I have a little stack of catalogs right there, and I don't have it there anymore. Vintage Adventure Drive's got a title with nothing more than a bill of sale. Yeah, and you can do that. Some states, it's all state by state. Some states don't even require titles if the vehicle's over a certain age. I mean, you realize what they're asking for. They're asking somebody to keep up with a separate piece of paper, sometimes for 50 and 60 years. Come on. And I'll tell you something that worries me. A lot of people talk about, oh, just do a bonded title. Let's do a bonded title. I have seen scammers will prey upon people trying to get a bonded title. They scan the list all the time looking for something they can try to steal off somebody through the bonded title process and make a claim for it. And that scares me to death. It's like an open invitation to have somebody try to steal your car. I've heard of that happening before with the bonded title process. The Empire of Rust. Hello, sir. Rabbit Transit Jaces, Wisconsin is lightening up on getting a title. I'm good. Here is the Hot Rod Guy Garage new tow rig. Tell me if this isn't cool. Look at that. I like it. Left turn dodge says, I have a title for my Model A. The guy who's supposed to be transferred to whom it is supposed to be transferred died in the 70s. Bantry Blake says, I've titled like 40 cars in my life. It's not hard, but one that's put together with tape and you can't read anything on. When Iowa says you need to have a bill of sale, is lucky, yeah. Stovall says that Illinois is easy on title work, just costs $95. That just seems wild to me because Illinois is so difficult with everything else. I used to have an Illinois concealed handgun permit. I've had them from 4 different states, and theirs was the most cumbersome, ridiculous, most expensive, unnecessary, stupidest process to get a concealed handgun permit. I had $400 in it. I had to take NRA basic pistol because they wouldn't accept my credentials to teach NRA basic pistol. I took a selfie for the photo on it. You have to do all the stuff online. It's $300. It's the craziest, most cumbersome thing. So it blows my mind that a car title would be easy there. Wow. Heavens Mopar Scott, no title in Washington means it needs to be inspected. Then have to wait 3 years for the issue. You have to wait 3 years? That's crazy. Yeah, and hope somebody, see, that's what gets about the bonded title thing. And so what if the thing got stolen and it was, recovered and insurance paid and whatever? I mean, if stolen might be part of its story, but it might be legit now. Mostly Mopar says, what's going on, folks? Finally made it. Well, you see it. We're talking about car titles. Michael Schmidt basically says California is a next to impossible state for getting a car title. I can completely believe that. The only thing I ever did with California DMV is I got a one-trip permit to bring a car back from San Jose back here. And that was pretty easy. It was a weird DMV. It was huge. It was massive, but the ceilings were really low. Isn't it creepy to have a building that's, you know, probably 10,000 square foot with 8-foot ceilings? That was weird. And I could not get over. It was unbelievable the number of Chinese people in there. I mean, which is fine, but it's like it was just so unusual, right? And I'm telling you, the dude who waited on us was. If you remember the movie Gremlins, the guy who had the gift shop in Gremlins, the old Chinese dude, this guy looked just like him and he talked just like him. If he had told me I played the part of the gift shop owner in Gremlins, I wouldn't have even questioned it. He looked like him, he talked like him, and everything. And we told him what we needed. He says, you need one trip permit. And he's telling us, I was expecting him to get a box with a Mogwai and set it on the counter. It was a pretty good wait. But I actually got the counter. It wasn't bad at all. That was just, it was like some kind of fever dream going to the DMV in California. That was my only experience with it. And it actually wasn't bad. Wasn't bad at all, really. Colleen Tebow puts up the link to Dave Stovall, No Name Nationals competitor. Thank you. Backwood says it's a chore to get a title in Kentucky. I can understand that. Dizzy has a dual plane Edelbrock air gap performer, new small block Mopar, $260, half price for No Name Nationals, folks. Cool. There you go. You need a Edelbrock and air gap dual plane. Dizzy's got one. Very cool. Paying it forward to the community. Get in touch with Dizzy. If you need help, I can help you. This is definitely a place that would jump on that. Barracuda says, remember the 2-page advertisements in Carcraft and Hot Rod for PAW engine rebuild kits? Yes, I do. Those prices are so gone. They are gone forever. They were amazing. Rabbit Transit J says, I couldn't get a title for my 70 Cornet RT in Wisconsin. Had to have it inspected by the cops. Still couldn't get it. Yeah, I just, it's such a mess dealing with titles and such. I say we start over everything. We're way past due for that, Blake. Hey, NSB Customs. Lee says, howdy, howdy. Been a while, but we're still alive. Good deal. You guys coming to Sykeston this year? We sure hope to see you there. I thought about you guys. I was with a friend of mine's place. He was talking about changing tires. Danny Boy says, I never saw Gremlins. It's worth a watch. Gremlins is one of a few movies that prompted the ushering in of the PG-13 rating by the MPAA. Gremlins, Indiana Jones, and the Temple of Doom, they didn't have that. They had a PG and an R. And so Indiana Jones, the Temple of Doom, and Gremlins both got a PG, and both people said that they shouldn't have. So they just put one in the middle, PG-13. NSB said, except I haven't drank since February. Sobriety rocks. Good for you, dude. Round of applause for Blake. That's a big deal. Good for you. That is great. That really makes me happy, man. That made my day. I have long said sober Blake is the best version of Blake. And sober Blake is awesome Blake because he's really talented and could do great things. And so that is really cool. The Gremlins, no bright lights, never get them wet or feed them after midnight. Yep, you got it. I like the Mogwais though. They're just, and Jethro kind of reminds me of a Mogwai, the way he's got the white stripe. So when you look at him like dead on or from behind, either way, and the ears are kind of out, he kind of looks like one of those Mogwais, I think. Lumpy says Georgia doesn't require a title for 85 and older. Yep. See, that's just lucky stuff. Well, that's fine. We won't spam it. No, I mean, I might, but most people probably won't. Bad Tree Blake says no hangover every 4 days and went from 235 to 180. 188. My gosh, I wouldn't recognize you. Blake, for those of you who haven't met in person, this is one thing that's cool about the No Name Nationals. Meet everybody in person. Blake's a pretty good sized dude. He's like 6'1". So 235, and he was pretty normal weight. At 188, you're getting pretty lean, dude. Really lean at 188. And shaved the beard too. Well, I got to see a picture. Can you text me a picture, Blake? I could walk right by you in public and not even mean to if you're 188 with no beard. I got to see that. 188, no beard and no hat will be like witness protection program for Blake. Stovall says bought 100 PAW rebuild kits and still have a couple. Yeah, those were cool. Yeah, for real. For real. That's cool. Definitely. How does it work if anyone buys a car from a state that doesn't require a title? I would assume just like cash and carry, just like buying a gun from a state that doesn't require registration. Bad Tree Blake says he's learned a lot about himself. Cool. Love it, man. Ultra medium Blake. Sounds like it. Send me a picture, Blake. I'll put it up on the screen. I'm curious now. I can't imagine what you look like that. Mohawk says in Tennessee they don't require a tag on any no commercial trailer. They're supposed to here in Virginia, but I see plenty of them that don't. Okay, Heavens Mopar Scott. Tomorrow, Stephen of Stephen Holt's Just Drive It Challenger comes out of the garage and the duster goes in. Doing the Mopar shuffle again, but can't work on it until the house gets fixed so it can be re-roofed soon. Well, I'll tell you, we're going to have an update on Scott with an S here very soon. So stay tuned. Left Turn Dodge says, I was thinking 188. I was thinking you were almost as tall as me. I go about 220. Yeah. I was in best shape of my life at 205 pounds. Izzy's been stuck at 260, lost 88 so far. Right on. Empire of Rust. Anyone used Montana for titles? I have not. I don't know anything about them. I would never have recognized him. This is Blake from Bad Tree. Dude, that's a lean, mean version of the Blake right there. Goodness. Good deal, man. Yes, indeed, Scott. You bet. Danny Boyd says it sucks when your house lets you know that it's more important to you than your hot rod. Imagine having a bunch of houses and all of them are telling you that. Thumper says last time I weighed 188 was 1987. I might even have that beat. I don't know. I was 200 pounds when I was 12, but I was also the same height I am now. Blake says, I'm back. Good. Good deal. We miss you. That doesn't even look like Blake. I'm telling you. No. Shelby says, in January, I was 200 pounds. Now I'm 160 with Ozempic. Ozempic scares me to death, but I'm glad it works for you. Left Turn Dodge says, when I was 6'4" and I graduated high school at 135. My gosh, man, you'd look like a guitar string. 6'4" and 135. Wow, Blake looks like Popeye. Yeah. Who's ready for Buff Blake at No Name Nationals 2026? I sure hope Blake comes back. I'd love to see him there. Hippie couldn't make it last year, so. Yeah. Blake is great. Doesn't matter, man. If Blake comes at 188 or 288, I mean, we'll be glad to see him. Huh. Empire for Us is apparently you can set up an LLC in Montana and use it to get titles and tags for antiques at the least. Huh. Interesting. Dougster says, I keep trying to lose weight, but it keeps finding me. I would like to lose 50 pounds at least. I mean, I can tell you something that'll work. It's up to you. You do your part. I know how to do it. Levi says, Blake, proud of your sober journey. It's a wonderful life when you're sober. Yes. Yes, indeed. Blake stopped beer, bread, and sugar soda. Well, yeah, to drop that kind of weight, that's unsurprising. Heavens Mopar Scott says, I've only been over 160 only 2 days of my life. If I ever get to 160, I probably don't have a pulse anymore. Probably need to carry me out of somewhere feet first and fumigate. Vintage Adventure Drive says Shelby's made a bunch of upgrades in her life since January. Yeah, typically upgrades go in spurts like that. That is pretty common. Thumper says that he did basic training with a guy that was 6'9.5" and 145 pounds. He could hide behind fence posts. Bluefield College, the last year I was there, they had a center, Brian Maynard, and he was 6'9". Either 6'8" or 6'9", and he was something like 155, 60 pounds. And his nickname was Stick for good reason. And the center before him, Matt Houghton, was 6'9", and he was something like close to 300 pounds. And then one summer, he dropped close to 80 pounds in one summer, and he came back really lean. And he was dunking and stuff. But I remember that. Cousin Cletus says, I'm ready for No Name Nationals, and I'm not ready. Got a lot of work to do on my projects, so I'm ready to be there. Cool. Sounds great. Dougster, I bet you'd feel better by just losing 25. Yeah, well, it's proportional, Levi. There's a difference. But, I mean, if Dougster wants, I can help him. Big Mike says the Montana LLC loophole is expensive, $1,500 to $1,800. Good deal. Bad Tree Blake says, you never know, but I know I won't bring a Durango. Cool. It'd be wild if Blake kind of slid in out of nowhere and won that bracket. That'd be pretty cool. He could do it. Mean Street says, I'm a steady 280. I really need to lose 80. I can identify with that. Destroyer 1320 meant to say hi to Eric earlier. He says, I can bring the Ram and race you, Blake. Cool. Let's do it. Let's see Destroyer there. Colleen says, home ownership is killing me. We're trying to make sure we don't wind up like JB. General maintenance is the key. Imagine owning a half a dozen of them and all of them screaming at you. Oh my, Racer Race has only one vehicle per LLC. Ugh, see, that is, they're trying to make sure that people can't use it for any good purpose. Danny Boyd's 148 to 150 and still a beer gut. Okay. Vintage Adventure Drive says, my dad broke a trend of drug abuse. Wanted him to never get that way. Well, that's good. That's a good thing. Mostly Mopar. A while back, I dropped from a lifting competition, weighed a 310, 6'5" down to 265. Someone asked if I had cancer. Well, what was your weight break? Because at 310, that's super heavyweight. So what was the heavyweight break? And what kind of lift meet was it? I was wanting to get in the Virginia Tech bench competition, but man, my weight class was just crazy competitive. And that was the 198. 181 to 198. You wouldn't believe the ant-like guys in there, you know, benching more than twice their body weight. Unreal. It was more competitive than a weight class up. But in that one, it was 225 and up was considered heavyweight. I don't know what college kids made these weight breaks, but I thought they were a little too conservative. I sponsored Tech's bench competition for, oh gosh, a decade. I love it. I think it's great. Mohawk said I was 6'2" and 153 when I joined the Army. 8 weeks later, 185 and still had a 30-inch waist. No, Racer Ray, I have not heard, but I do need to give Possum a call. It's June, so I'll put that on the list of things we'll talk about. Empire for us says in basic, I went in at 92 pounds. When did you go into basic training? When you were 8? How is that? How can that be? Do you mean 192? Tanner says I can still fit a 29 waist pants at 5'8", 170. Yeah. Well, one thing that's deceptive about me is if you carry 2 pistols in the waistband, you've got to go up a couple sizes on your pants. So it's slightly deceptive. Empire of Rust says you can have multiple vehicles on one LLC. That actually makes a lot of sense. So I don't know. We don't know. We know Montana might have some possibilities for folks like us. Thumper would drop 40 pounds, cut 40 pounds for the weight break. Yeah. Battery Blake says if the shop's up faster than the wind erosion, you might have had something new ready. Wow. Mohawk says, I just got weighed at the hospital. I'm 215. I won't touch the last part of that. The phrasing is awesome, but I'll leave it alone. Why, Danny boy? Doesn't matter. He says, I'm kind of ashamed to weigh in less than 170. You're fine, man. If you want to put on some weight, you can do it. It's not hard. Create a calorie surplus. Try to, pick at least decent enough stuff, but, that you're not spiking your blood sugar and stuff. You can put weight on. Drink a bunch of milk. I mean, it's not too hard. SSR Performance got to hop off for the evening. Did I miss any call-outs? No, but I'll tell you what. Just come around and look. We've got some folks that are wanting to call some people out. You guys, if you make call-outs in here, tag Big James at SSR Performance on your call-outs. Make a short and tag him on it. Thumper never considered competitive lifting. It's a bunch of fun, man. Tech hosted a Rec Sports Bench Press contest for a lot of years, and I sponsored it. I just loved it. We're talking about doing a full meet, but that didn't come to fruition. Extra lightweight back then, 92 pounds. Danny Boy was 92 in the 5th or 6th grade. My gosh. When I was 12, I was 5'8" and 211 pounds. And I only grew about 1 more inch and, like, I don't know, 10 or 15 pounds from that. How's that? Wrong English is calling her tonight because he goes into work at 4 a.m. Thanks for joining us. You know, this talk of height and weight thing reminds me of I'm a fan of the Andy Griffith Show, and if you remember, Barney was trying to make a weight minimum for his job. The state put in new requirements for a deputy sheriff. Apparently, that's how it worked on the show, and he had to make a minimum weight. So I won't spoil it for you, but I think you'll like it. Dexter says, I would like the opinion of the group. If you had the choice between a truck 9.1, what does that mean? Danny Boy, I don't want to gain unless it's muscle. Well, that's a lot harder. You just said gain weight. Gaining weight's not hard. Gaining muscle is a lot harder. And you're older than me, so yeah, that's a much different order. Be happy where you are, unless you want to commit to something serious. Bad Tree Blake, I'm calling Eric out. Next, like you got to be honest. Yep. All right. Left turn dodge didn't hit till 200 pounds till he was 30. Destroyer says to Blake, it's on. Stovall says he went from 315 to 235 and had an accident on October 11th of 2020. Tore my right arm off. It was reattached and works good, but stalled my weight loss plan. I'll get back on it eventually. My gosh, it was completely separated, or was it just hanging from a thread? Or wow. Wow, dude. Glad they could save it. Mostly Mopar says the weight break was 235. Most of the guys were 5'5" to 5'10". My last bench squat deadlift competition, full meet, finished second in heavyweight masters at NC State. Cool. I like that. That's a good deal. Well, it's a trade-off. I mean, these guys, these little buggy whip arms, they usually rule that bench. You know, they got the keg, you know, with the little short arms. I got these big pterodactyl arms, and they're terrible for the bench, but I could deadlift a lot. So it's all, you know. I'm not really built right for the squat, but I could do pretty good. Destroyer 1320 says, I'll be at No Name Nationals NSB. Good deal, man. Be glad to see you. Thumper says the VA's freaking out because his blood sugar's around 100. They think I have Hershey syrup for blood type. Whew. Kerosene Cuke, of course he knows that. He's an Andy Griffith fan. So he knows what I'm talking about. That's right. That's right. Had to get a waiver to join. I bet. 92 pounds. 92 pounds? That's just wild. That's a stout dumbbell press. I mean, 92 pounds. That just seems wild to me. Huh. Racer Ray can still wear the suit from his senior pictures. Huh. Heavens Mopar Scott. Back in the day, I did a bodybuilding competition in the lightweight class. After that, I got bursitis in my elbows and later blew my back out. Fun while it lasted. That's cool, Scott. Good deal. That's neat. You want to put up any pictures on your community post? Vintage Venture drives, I would say 8 3/4 if you can find it. The 9 1/4 has really small spider gears. What are we talking of swapping? Big Mike says the other possible drawback of the Montana LLC is that depending on sales tax laws, there's a possibility of being charged with tax evasion. Oh, man, there's always a catch in there. Jack stands in cinder blocks. He says hi. Howdy, sir. Mohawk tells us Alabama's having their fishing day tomorrow. You only need a permit on government waterways and lakes. Okay. Cool. Destroyer 1320 says, Blake, please call out Destroyer Ranch. I fish on that channel. Okay. Big Mike says, not usually an issue, but some states just suck. Yes, they do. John can string a trimmer with that wingspan. My wingspan is 73 inches. And I'm about 5'8" and a half, 5'9". If you measure me in my sneakers, I'll be 5'9". And my wingspan is 6'1". My mom was like that too. Her wingspan was 5'7", and she was 5'3". So we're both over square. Now my dad was not. My dad had a really long torso and short legs, and I had longer legs than he did, but he was almost 6 feet tall. He was about a half inch from being 6 feet. But his posture was so bad that we look about the same height in photos. But he's not. He was a legit 5'11" and a half. But he didn't have the arms. I got the arms and I got the long arms and the short torso, just like my mom, and real long legs. You get in a vehicle I've been driving, you'll think, well, man, what giant's been in this thing? But it's because my legs are so long. It's that short torso. I got plenty of headroom in anything. I don't know. Everybody's just built different. Dad was the opposite. He had the real long waist, and he would sit over to give himself headroom and everything else. But he could drive with the seat up so close. First time I drove that Jeep after he died, I had to figure out how to adjust the seat. I couldn't physically drive it. I was so close to the pedals, I couldn't hold my legs up to drive it. It was awful. Took some work to get the seat back as it had, because I never ever drove while he was living. So, and he had it up so close. I don't even know hardly how he got in it, much less drove it. Huh. Heavens Mopar Scott said I placed second in an arm wrestling tournament back in high school. That's really cool. When I was in high school, I lived on Bluefield College's campus, and I made it to the second round in an arm wrestling tournament for the college guys. That was interesting. That was fun. It's the only time I've ever done that, arm wrestling, but it was fun. I made it around. I don't know how old I would have been. I would have been younger than 16 because I started there at 16. Left Turn Dodge says, I'm really only built for reaching the top shelf, just not for heavy stuff. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to having long arms. There really are. Pluses and minuses. It is handy for reaching stuff on the dash, I'll tell you that. It's handy for reaching on shelves. Just some skin holding it. Wow. Glad you got your armpit deck together, man. The NSB's got a great point here. Thumper, if your blood sugar's way too high, can you use it to make ethanol? Don't encourage him. I could see him doing that. NSB says a bad day fishing is better than a good day working. It could be. Empire of Rustlers, we drove through a place called Pineapple, Alabama. Yeah, we got a lot of weird names in southern West Virginia. Jack stands in cinder block, says I'll be registering the next few weeks once I get a real paycheck. I understand. We're always glad to have you. Always glad to have you. I appreciate the people who register last minute. I appreciate the people who register early. We just want to see everybody. Turbo Tom's is back home, cooling off out there. Yeah, Jimi Hendrix had long arms. I didn't know that. Vintage Adventure drives 5'8", has the same length legs as my mother, who's 5'2". That's interesting. And my legs were a lot longer than my dad's. He was almost 6 feet, but I have just long legs. Makes for good walking pace, I can tell you that. Dougster says, I currently have an 8 1/4 rear axle in the shop truck, debating on switching out to a 9 1/4 and 8.75. Both truck axles have a line on a truck. Well, I'll tell you this. If you switch from an 8 1/4 to a 9 1/4, the drive shaft's the same length. It makes for an easy swap because vans, and I know vans, I believe trucks did too, of course, would come with both. And I think the brake setup is modular and the drive shaft's the same. So the 9 1/4 is a slightly easier swap. If you go to an 8 3/4, you're going to have to drive shaft shortened slightly because an 8 3/4 is a little longer from the center of the rear axle to the center of the pinion, or the center of the rear U joint, I should say. It's about an inch and change, something like that. I got a book I could look it up in. The Mopar chassis book had it. It's hard to find online. Now, that said, I'm going to an 8 3/4 in the van because I have one. I have a van housing. They only made them 4 years. But here's something I don't know, and I'm going to look into this. It's a possibility. This would have made a great trivia question, but I'll just spill it on here. I want to run my 81 and up truck wheels and brakes, but I want to run an 8 3/4. And as everybody knows, the 8 3/4 only went to 1974, and even the trucks that had it were all 4.5 pattern. But there's one axle that's the right width. It's 8 3/4 and has the 81 and up truck 5 on 5.5 bolt pattern. Who in the chat knows what it is? I think those axle shafts will work. Kerosene Cucumber said, my favorite episodes have Howard Morris, a.k.a. Ernest T. Bass, and the guitar player James Best, yes, who also played or later played Roscoe P. Coltrane. This is correct. I'll show you something here. There you go. There's Ernest T. Bass. Thumper says, short pants touch my feet, and when I sit on the floor, my feet dangle. Yeah, no such problem here. Gen X Empty Nesters. Hi, everyone. Had to take the dog for a ride in the car. Glad to see y'all. Jethro and I went on a mile walk today. I take him up to the playground every day, and he went on a long ride in the van yesterday and the day before, so he's in there taking a nap in the cool. Bad Tree Blake's thinking on a new concept called a river ranch. Bad Tree Marine. Interesting. Danny Boyd says 68 inches tall with a 66 wingspan. You got buggy whip arms, man. Arm wrestling and No Name Nationals. I don't know what y'all want to do in the pits at night. Colleen says, I have an extra vertebrae, which makes my torso longer. Okay, that's kind of wild. Dexter says, if I run the 8 3/4, I'll weld in the back brace for sure. Really? My gosh, what are you doing with that thing? You can. I've actually seen braces for a Dana 60, but I don't know why you couldn't do the same thing on a 9 1/4. They have a preload bolt that go in and touch the caps, and a cover that's made to have a load bolt against the caps. Yeah, I'm sure I can believe that. Well, sorry I couldn't make it. Mostly Mopar. Has anyone called out All the Beans Racing? If not, I will. Those guys have put out one long form video of a truck having a little foobar on a burnout. And other than that, we haven't seen much from them. They're running second in the No Name 500. I'd like to see them get to moving. Nah, definitely no singer. I couldn't carry a tune in a wheelbarrow. Vintage Adventure Drives. I've seen Jamie go from an 8 1/4 to an 8 3/4 same drive shaft on 73 Charger. Well, if he's doing that, it's because there's just enough room, in the yoke. But I would want to have that right amount of free play. I mean, he's definitely sliding it farther up in the transmission. Or if you did it, if your rear suspension was lifted, might pull it back out of the transmission the amount that it needs to be. So that's possible. But count on having to shorten it a little. I've actually heard of this. Lumpy says his mom's from a community called Smudeye, Alabama. I have heard of that town. Guessing that axle's a 50s Imperial. You're close. It's a 65 and up Imperial. Not up in like 65 to 75, something like that. If I could find one, I think it might have what I need for the van. Bad Tree Blake says, I wore my Toonces the Driving Cat t-shirt today. J-Bo got me for my birthday and only got one reaction. What's wrong with people? I would remember Toonces the Driving Cat from Saturday Night Live. Barry Cuda says, James Best was also in Rolling Thunder. Not a nice guy in that. Yeah, that's what I heard. Kerosene Cucumber said Howard Morris, who played Ernest T. Bass, was in a few Mel Brooks films. I didn't know that. He was in Old Man Kelsey's film academy there. Yeah, Destroyer likes Toonces. Yeah, I remember it. That's back when Saturday Night Live was funny. James Best was an acting teacher too. Could see that. I heard Mel Brooks is going to make History of the World Part 2. Isn't he 100 years old now? He's not. He's really close. Left Turn Dodge. I'm pretty sure I have an Imperial axle here somewhere. Let me know. I would be really curious to measure one up. It might be exactly what I need. Jay, I'm not even going to try that. Barracuda says there's a place in Canada with a strange name. Buffalo Jump Head Smashed In. Yuck. I know in West Virginia, southern West Virginia, you've got 6, Johnny Cake, Jolo. There's just a lot of goofy names. Oh, Eastern Virginia's got some crazy ones. Not in there. Eastern Shore. Let's see here. Find a good one for you. I'm going to let you see it on the maps. You know I'm not making it up. This is in my state. On the other end of my state. I can focus. Well, it won't. You can read it in there. That's an actual place in my state. Of course it won't focus. Crazy. Yes, you do. My grandfather had a street sign for there in his room. Kerosene Cucumber asks if I remember the Andy Griffith episode with Denver Powell and Bob Denver. Yes, I've seen all of them. Frizzell just realized he's in a different time zone. Well, cool. I guess you're in Eastern. No, you're normally in North Carolina time. Dougster says, my friend always talks about Tortilla Flats as a town name. I thought he was being funny. No, it's a town in Arizona. There's a goofy name of everything you can imagine. What do you think of the color episodes? They're okay. I mean, I think the black and white episodes were better. I think all of it was better up through 65. This is an actual place in Virginia, for real. It's on the eastern shore as you go up. Old McDonald's still waiting on my least favorite song. Me too. Nobody's ever got it. No one's got it. Edge Adventure drives to Climax, Texas, and Climax, North Carolina. Maybe RFD wasn't very good in my opinion. It was okay, but we were already used to the Andy Griffith show. So it was okay. I think it did okay standalone. I can't really fault anybody, on it. It just, it was different. Big Mike says we have a Toad Suck, Arkansas. Lovely. Mohawk is going to a coffee and cars cruise-in tomorrow morning, 30 miles away, taking the scamp. 2 friends with him. Good deal, man. Thumper says he has a Claymore anti-personnel mine for a pillow. Sounds right. The one-eyed cat likes the toad comment, of course. Annie Boyd says, I want to be a grain truck doctor. Destroyer Ranch says, worst song, Oasis Wonderwall. It's a good mention, but that's not the one I'm thinking of. One of these years, someone will get it. Bad Song 16. I don't know what that means. People have taken plenty of guesses. Nobody's ever gotten it. Thumper says, my Claymore says front towards friend. For those who don't know, they are labeled front toward enemy. That is a horrible POS for song. Sure. People were naming good stuff on that Friday too, and bad stuff. Gen X Empty Nester, she's only 17 by Winger. No, that's, doesn't make my worst ever. Duxter says, worst song, Flagpole Sitter by Johnny Danger. Yeah, it's some junk. That's not it. Vintage Adventure Drives hates any Green Day song. You mean they have different songs? Dan the IT guy says, Tennessee Ernie Ford, 16 tons. No. 16 candles. No. Kerosene Cucumber, worst song, Don't Take the Girl, Tim McGraw. No. Yeah, I knew Left Turn Dodge wouldn't be crazy about that one. Bad Tree doesn't like Nirvana or Pearl Jam. Yeah, I don't like either. Manic Mechanic, The Wallflowers, one headlight. Now, Dizzy mentions a good one here, Tiptoe Through the Tulips by Tiny Tim. Now, I know somebody who hates that song, and it's her least favorite song, but not mine. It is really horrible, though. I'll give it credit for that. It's definitely a really honorable mention of a horrible song, yes. Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. Now, Left Turn Dodge, what do you think that Levi's 12 years old, 12 or 13, and he says Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple, and he thinks that's the worst song ever? No, there's no hints given. I only gave one hint, and it's just whoever might remember it, but I'm not giving any more. Empire of Rust, I'm off. Later, man. Thank you for coming by. We appreciate you. And don't forget to check out Mommy Z Garage. She's going to be added to the No Name 500 board right after this on my channel. Battery Blake says Summer Breeze by Typo Negative. Vintage Venture Drives, I don't like Smoke on the Water. Dizzy says Deep Purple Rocks. Levi likes Deep Purple, just guessing songs at this point. That's fine. Oh, this is an interesting one here. Jack Stan's Center Block says Purple Rain performed by Dwight Yoakam. I didn't know that he did a cover of that. Interesting. Dan the IT guy says Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash. No, it wouldn't be that. But a lot of these you guys are putting up, I can hear them in my head when I read them. Battery Blake says the more important topic is when will 50s music stop playing at car shows? I'm ready for 80s stuff to start getting a little old. I agree with you. I don't know who set the rule that every car show forever has got to be a bunch of sock hop stuff. I don't know who created that. Like if you look at my short, Blake, that I did on the Floyd Garrett Muscle Car Museum, I did something from 1974 for the music. It doesn't have to be doo-wop stuff for muscle cars. Nope. Not Thriller Run Michael Jackson, no. Vintage Adventure Drive says the last car show I went to played a lot of 70s music. That was much better. Yes, that would be an improvement. Dan, the IT guy, loves Johnny Cash. Cool, yeah. Johnny Cash, all right. I don't even know what that is, Mohawk. Are you happy and you know it? That one could be right there. It's not it, but I'm telling you, that one, whew, heard it enough times, that's for sure. Thumper says car shows should be Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, AC/DC, and Metallica. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's okay, but I'll pass on that. 70s would be a huge step in the proper direction. I would agree. Yep. When I moved from Virginia Tech Rec Sports to Weight Club, they always played 70s, 80s rock. It was much better. Oh my God, the Rec Sports crew would play all of this modern student music. When I say modern, it was like the 90s, right? But it was the music wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. Insights of Garage, guess Copperhead Road? No. Heavens Mopar Scott, Highway to Hell? No. Oh, here we go. It's an interesting one. Fountains of Wayne, Stacy's mom? No. You know, I got a friend who his name is Stacy, and he's got 4 stores in our local mall here. And so we always said somebody needs to make a version of that's Stacy's Mall. We call it Stacy's Mall because he's got 4 stores out there. Battery Blake's is mid-70s to 91. How did you figure 1991? How did you get that? I'm curious what it is in 92 you definitely don't want to hear, and what 91 got it included. No. Stacy Martin. Stacy Martin, shout out to him. He's got some nice stores in our mall. Got a really good men's store, Crown and Field. Danny boys, people trying to figure out what's up in 1992. Yeah, I don't know. My driver's license in 93. Yeah, left turn Dodge is 92 started a lot of the grunge. Yeah, okay. That kind of makes sense. That's good watershed year there, I guess. Makes sense. I can get on board with that. I like Blake's range there. That's good. Very cool to like Stone Temple Pilots. In the Sights of Garage is Brand New Key by Melanie. No, that wouldn't be. It's all right. Gosh, last time I heard that song playing, it was Cope has a radio that he has in a screen in his build room at his shop. I heard it playing there. Main Street Mopar, why is everyone hating on grunge? I'm not hating on her. I just, it makes sense to why his list is there. Racer says, I'll be shooting shorts at a local car show tomorrow. It's in the town of Runaway Bricks. Cool. It's a cool name. Bad Tree Blake says, AIC is good, A1C. Okay. Courtney Love was in a band called Hole and brought a date to Kurt's funeral. I didn't know that. I knew she was in Hole. I don't know. A world of characters I don't want to know much about. Oh, McDonald says 1992, I was married. 1992, I would have started my junior year of high school. Teletubbies theme song. Don't know it, don't need to, but that's not it. Alice in Change. Okay, that's the AIC. There we go. Big Yellow Taxi. Is that a song? I have no idea. Vintage Adventure Drives. Alice in Chains and Soundgarden are the ones I like. Then the IT guy likes Alice in Chains. Rooster. Yeah, okay. Well, nobody's got it. Nobody's gotten close. One of these days, somebody, I'll see it floating through. Once everybody's forgotten all about this, I'm going to see it floating through the chat. I'm not even saying anything. It's one of these things. No clues, nothing. One day someone will get it, and that'll be that. Yes, Mohawk says condolences to Kim. Kim lost father a couple days ago, I believe. That's terrible. So condolences to Kim Fixes Things. Bad Tree Blake says Bloodhound Gang and Primus I keep for close friends. Johnny C. Spiders and Snakes. I like the opening photo. I was at City Park in Bluefield, and there was a sign that says, was it snake habitat? Right at the playground. Right at the playground. Just seems fine. Yeah, this thing is just turned into something else. I mean, they're just talking. That's fine. Rapid Transit Jace, I sing, oh Lord, it's hard to be humble at work when I'm having one of those days. Then the IT guy's not a bad guess. I got friends in low places. Yeah, I really hate that one, but that one's not it. Believe it or not, there's something worse. There's plenty I don't like. I don't like I got friends in low places. I don't like Margaritaville. There's several honorable mentions, that being one of them. Nope. Dust Devil Brian says, howdy, howdy. Thank you for dropping in, man. Mohawk likes riding through City Park blasting ICP. Yeah. I don't like blasting anything at anyone. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Yep, horrible song, but that's not it. Pina Colada song, Rupert Holmes. No. Colleen says, I love spiders and snakes. They're fine. They don't bother me. Escape by Rupert Holmes. Yeah, that's the same. Yeah, that's it. Escape is the Pina Colada song. Battery Blake says, my ear likes tons of transitions and breakdowns. Makes my head go quiet. Or Slipknot, Korn, Pantera, Static X, stuff like that. Slow music kills me inside. That's just Blake. Yeah. I'm better at naming that tune than you might think. World of Woodchip drove around blasting the ice cream truck music. It's okay. Nine to 5. No, it's all right. Spiders and Snakes, Jim Stafford. I thought you meant real spiders and snakes. I'm good with those. Muppet song. Try listening to certain funk. Yeah, I'm good with that. I like Atomic Dog. Might be my favorite song of that era. Big and Rich is Big Time. Not a bad guess. Will you say what decade's from? No, I will not. This could go on forever. I'm not soliciting any of this either. People are just dying to guess this. Somebody's going to get it one of these days. Someone will get it. Boz, Skaggs, Dirty Low, and a hashtag. That would not be it. Some pretty bad tunes here today. Yes, there are. How we doing, Aaron? Muppets 1977? No. Battery Blake says corn is like metal funk. Might give it a shot. Parliament Funkadelic. Yeah, that's who had Atomic Dog. George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like something I wouldn't like. Song that doesn't end, I don't even know. I think I've heard of that. Yeah, how is Aaron doing? How goes it, Aaron? An ABBA song? I'm not telling you, I'm not going to narrow it down by artist like that. Mohawk said, I found a new thing a few days ago. It's a guy on YouTube improvising drums to TV show themes done dark, like Heavy Rock, Gilligan's Island, and Brady Bunch. Ooh, wow. Big Mike says only 5,345,816 more guesses to go. That's a good estimate. Casey says you're welcome. What's the question again? I think they're trying to guess what my least favorite song ever is. I think that's what they're trying to guess because they tried it one other night, couldn't get it. Huh. Laura said, I saw George Clinton Parliament Funkadelic live in a cave in Grundy County, Tennessee a few years back. Cool. Hey, Lars, while you're in here, if you don't mind, would you post in the chat how much people who are doing the shorts challenge have gained since we started the shorts challenge? You sent that to me earlier. Baby Elephants Walk, Henry Mancini. No. Sweet Caroline. No. It's endless. But when somebody guesses, they're going to win something. Marilyn Monroe singing Happy Birthday to Kennedy. I hated it, but it's not my least favorite ever. Yeah, that song does get on my nerves, but it's a good guess, Dizzy. That really is a good guess. Unfinished Project said, I play chicken with the train. Did you do that at work? There we go. Lars puts this up. June 12th, 2026 Shorts Challenge update. So these will be the amount of subs everybody in the No Name 500 has moved up since the Shorts Challenge. Some of them are doing the challenge, some are not. All the Beans has added 5. Valiant Adventurer 1973 has added 273 as of this writing. Mid-South Lowballers added 2. Dave Stovall's added 8. Jay's Junkers has added 24. Nodak Speed Shops added 15. Tim's 72 Demons added 2. And Plymouth on Plywood has added 3. Yes, and that was as of a few hours ago. Battery Blake says the presidents of the United States, millions of peaches. I'm surprised no one's gotten it. Vintage Adventure Drive says, I'm doing the shorts challenge myself. Right, we were just mentioning the current No Name 500 people. There are established channels who are doing it. Jack Stan Cinderblock says, My Ding-a-Ling, Chuck Berry. Not it. One-Eyed Cats gained 5. Yeah, some of you guys who are not in the No Name 500 who are doing it, let us know. Colleen puts up a plug for Thumper's other channel, the Medicinal Wood Chipper. I don't know what Hicktown is. Mohawks gained 8 subs. Yeah, I don't know how many I've gained so far. I haven't kept that running total. It's a handful. I haven't had one really go crazy. They've all gotten about 1,000 views. Some more, some less. Most of them over 1,000. Rabbit Transit Jay's doing it as well. Yeah, it's fun. I enjoy it. We didn't start the fire, Billy Joel. No, that's not a bad guess. I actually had someone ask me, said, what's a good stop smoking song? And I said, we didn't start the fire. I said, I thought that was pretty good. And then just went with something that had nothing to do with smoking at all. Dizzy says, I'm up to 979, gained a couple. See, if it was about, it's a stop smoking song. If it was about smoking, I would have said Smoke on the Water, Deep Purple, but. Left Turn Dodge says, every day my shorts get less views than the day before, but today it got a bunch of likes. Yeah, they tend to wind down after a while. Thumper said, I picked up 8 from the crankshaft short. Everyone seems to think I'm saying it's a forged crank. They don't listen to shorts. Shorts have catered to the worst attention span of viewers. It's just long form content is something people won't do. They just want to mindlessly scroll. I posted a comment on the video, this Buick jump that was incredible. This Buick. Some guy jumped a maroon Buick. I mean, 100 feet on this road. And I put a comment up 5 years ago that said 13 years later, this is still one of the greatest things I've ever seen. And I had a guy just today or yesterday comment, don't you know your numbers? That was 17 years ago. And I said, can't you see the comments 5 years old, tard? I hate it when a moron tries to educate you. But anyway. Yeah, a lot of people don't pay any attention. Tanner's at 2,115 subs. Cool. Layla, no. Old Town Road by something bizarre name. No idea. Blue Grits said, someone named Chicken Train. I like it, but Anna hates it. No. Now, I read every comment. Someone will get it. I'll notice. Big Mike said, I just walked outside to the evening songs of Frogs and Bugs, also watching the Fireflies. Cool. Right on. Casey says, getting close to 2,000 stubs. Still stuck in low view hours mode. Okay. Casey says, I absolutely love when my own shorts show up in my feed. Mine always do, but I kind of already seen them. Main Street Mopar gets fewer views on shorts than I used to. Well, perhaps, but I mean, the frequency of your posting changes. Has that changed? Tanner says, I was over 2,000 subs before I got monetized, all because I bought Jamie's car. Yeah. Mungo Jerry in the summertime. Not it, but thanks for the guess. Y'all will do this all night. I think they were on like 30, 45 minutes last time. It's amazing how well the thing goes. And no, Wendy, it still isn't the Baby Shark song, no matter how many times you guess it. Smoker in the boys' room, Danny IT guy says, no. Bad Tree Blake says, Smoking the Bandit theme song. I'm assuming you mean Smokey and the Bandit theme song. Say that's not the correct answer, please. No, it is not Eastbound Down by Jerry Reed. Left Turn Dodge Pussycat song. Pretty sure it's older than I am. I guess. I'm a 77 model. No, Dizzy, still not smoke on the water. I don't know how old this song is. Talk to text. Found it that smart, I guess. No, I'm not going to give it away. Weekend at Wilburn's. My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard by Khalees. No, that is not it. Material Girl by Madonna. No, that is not it either. Dukes of Hazzard theme songs. No, Good Old Boys by Waylon Jennings is not it. Nobody who's listening to your hints. Apparently not, but that's how people are. Lars says, I just had a guy comment on my short from 3 days ago of Cope's truck. He says, why would you put this on here? And you can't even film right. The guy gave you one job and failed. Bear in mind, Lars has over 6,000 subscribers, and this guy giving him advice probably doesn't have 6. Cop Car Steve, camping in British Columbia, Canada. Story Ranch down with OPP. Not it. Naughty by Nature does not have that as my least favorite song. No. Walk Like an Egyptian. Neither is that. Days of Thunder theme song. I don't even know what that is. Man, you guys are determined to get this, aren't you? So, got a couple minutes left. I want you to know that we're working on something that I think is going to culminate on July 3rd. I plan to let you guys know what that is next week. It's going to have a few moving parts to it, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And that should be on July 3rd. And for those of you who can make it, I'm sure people are going to have 4th of July weekend plans. But I'm looking forward to that. And Blake, by the way, if you haven't seen it yet, go take a look at my channel on my shorts. I just did a quadrajet swap on the van. Running great now. Yes, Cop Car Steve. Yeah, you know me. That's right. Battery Blake says the Ford 460 EFI guys shorts get 1,000 views a month for 5 years. 200 comments asking what exhaust is on it. Yeah, no kidding. Ooh. Danny Boyd, I can't stand another lonely night. He hates that song. Yeah. It's the one I'm thinking of. I don't either. Barry Cuda said his cat was smoking a cigar in a dream he had. No thermoquad, I'm unsubbing. Check this out, Blake. That is a Mopar factory-used quadrajet. They actually made such a thing. The part number is not even in all the common listings. It's a Mopar Dodge truck, mid-80s used quadrajet from a 360. And runs great. Yeah, this one was needed some work. Dallas did a beautiful rebuild on it. You can see that video on his channel. One-Eyed Cats is next Friday. We'll hopefully be watching your live from up in the holler in Gasaway, West Virginia. Cool. Ford used quadrajets too, Danny Boyd says. Cop Car Steve's going to put out a video of the campground to show you how beautiful British Columbia is. That's what I hear. NSB says, been out for a while, but we've missed all of you guys. Looking forward to seeing you at No Name Nationals. Okay, Blake says he can get on board with that. Yeah, it was Mopar factory used, and we used a PI intake, 318 intake. Turned out really nice. Plunger style accelerator pump. That it has got plenty of pump shot. It's really instant. They did a really good job on the quadrajet with that. More instant than the Holly, for sure. And it's not a quadribog. You can hear it. Friends TV song by the Rembrandts? No. But with that, we're at our time, guys. Thanks for coming out tonight. It's been a fun freewheeling Friday. I'm gonna try to announce it this upcoming Friday. Something we're gonna do for July the 3rd. Going to be a lot of fun. I think you guys are going to want in on it. And with that, make sure to catch Tech Talk Live on Wednesdays on Professor P's channel, Slant Daily Garage. If you're not yet registered for the No Name Nationals, what are you waiting for? The link is in the chat. Don't forget you get 10 to 15% off everything in Edelbrock's catalog. And we have our own concierge, Mr. Alex So. So take advantage of that discount. It's totally worth it. But thank you for coming out. I really, truly appreciate you guys. You guys are family. So thank you. And I will see you all again next week. Have a great and safe weekend.